Hey guys, here Eric Peacock here with week 4 of our Fit Ministries, building on the habits that we've already put in place. So, first week habit we talked about miracle mornings, getting up earlier in the morning, get your mind and spirit right, and hopefully your body too. If you can get up and work out in the morning, if you can't, that's fine. But just getting yourself set for success for the rest of the day, setting the tone. Week 2 we talked about where are we going, what's our goals, what's our purpose, what's our vision for our lives, what gives our basically like a GPS, gives our brain a GPS. What are we doing in life? What are we doing this all for? What is important to us, and what do we want to accomplish that lines up with those purposes in our life? Week 3, what are the big rocks and non-negotiables? Those are the primary key activities to be your best version of yourself, and what do you need to be focused on to see those goals become reality. Here we are in week 4. We're going to talk about execution this week. Execution meaning, how do I get these things done? Because it's great to have a plan written out, and that's all well, fine and dandy. But if we don't have a plan to execute it, it's never going to happen. So we're going to talk about putting together a weekly schedule. So week to week, day by day, having some type of schedule. All right, this takes time. So your first step is you got to get a scheduler. All right, maybe you get a passion planner, maybe use your Google Calendar, maybe get just an old school planner, whatever it is. Get something that you're going to use that's going to work well for you. You know, some people are old school. They like to write things down. Myself, I like to do a little bit of a combination of both. Some people like to use all technology. Whatever works for you, you need to have something that you can put on your scheduler. Number 2 is you got to block time to schedule out the important things. So that includes your big rocks, your non-negotiables. You have to schedule blocks for those things, and blocks of time when you're going to work on those big rocks and when you're going to execute those non-negotiables. And you want to respect those blocks, meaning that when I'm working in those blocks on one of those things, I'm 100% focused. I'm not, answering emails or texts. So sometimes that might mean if I'm working on something important or doing something important, I might need to put my phone in the other room. I know sometimes when I'm working out, I'll put my phone on airplane mode so people can't interrupt my workout with a phone call. Shutting off your Outlook or your email service if you're getting notifications during working on the things that distract you. So you want to be focused on that block, 100% focus. You're only working on one thing during that block. Multitasking never works for productivity. It's really bad for productivity. Also, too, is make sure you build in what's called buffer time. And buffer time is basically time, or you could call it catch-up time, is basically wild card time, where if you don't get something done in a block, you have buffer time or catch-up time to finish up any unfinished business. So I build that into my schedule every week, and I always try to really be as realistic as possible for how long I have, how much time it takes to work on something. So if I know it's going to take 2 hours, I'm going to block 2 to 2.5 hours. I might go over a little bit if I can. So make sure you block adequate time when you're planning this out, and give yourself some grace, because this does not come easy. This takes a while, and eventually you'll kind of figure out a rhythm. I know for myself it doesn't always go right, and sometimes I look at a day and I say, why did I plan those big rocks for the day? And I looked at my schedule and they didn't align very well. So just make sure you're doing something, and this is a process. Even if it's not perfect at the beginning, it is a process, and at least you have a process now where you didn't have any process before. And now you're going from reactive mode into proactive mode, which always gets better results. All right, you're on offense versus defense. All right, defense usually doesn't score a lot of points, so offense scores points, and those points are going to come in seeing you knock down those big rocks, knock down those goals and accomplishments. And if you want to take it a step further, one other thing you can do is I like to do, and I'm going to show you my calendar here just to wrap this video up here in a minute, but is color code your calendar. I like to put my activities that are green or high impact activities, usually my non-negotiables and big rocks, are in green, and my yellow is kind of I have to do these things to run my business, to take care of my family and my house. They're neutral, they're not good, or they don't take energy or give me energy, but they're just things I got to do, and I just make sure that those are in there too, and I color code those yellow. And then red are the things that typically will suck energy out of your body. It might be that negative client you need to fire. It might be an activity you need to just quit doing because every time you do it, you feel tired, you feel down. So start to identify those things by color code. This is an extra step. It's optional but not necessary. So I'm going to show you my calendar real quick. I use a Google Calendar. You can kind of see as I go through the week. You can see my Google Calendar, and you can see this is coming up tomorrow. I got my mindset work, my miracle morning, my workout, training some clients. I got some marketing work, which I always like to write good content, client care, which is taking care of programs and check-ins, working on a charity thing at 10:30 to 12, and then my men's group, which is my weekly spiritual thing. So this is just an example of, you can see how I've structured my calendar, and you can see I've eliminated a lot of the red too as well. So whatever it is, your assignment is to start working on a weekly calendar and blocking time and breaking it down into smaller steps. Especially if you have big tasks, you want to break it into smaller bites, just like the old saying goes, how to eat an elephant one bite at a time. So there you go. Execution is about planning. Make a plan. It's not going to be perfect, but at least you have a plan. We'll see you next week.